Hey, good morning, Jacques. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm talking to Garth Brooks.
Entering his second year as the LSU head football coach.
It was the only way I could get a foot in the door.
Joined by the icon, Kim Mulkey. Hey, Coach, great to see you.
All right, today's guest is very well known with LSU fans. He, of course, was a star player on the baseball Tigers that reached the national championship in 2017. He's been in the minors and major leagues of baseball, and now he's got a new role at LSU. Kramer Robertson. Kramer, thanks for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good
And
to be back.
oh, by the way, his mom is the head coach of the LSU women's basketball team. In case
If nobody's ever heard that on a broadcast.
I guess we're going on. How many years have you heard that now? 15?
Oh, my whole life. Yeah, my whole life. Yeah, before I came to LSU.
From the LSU perspective,
From the LSU perspective, I got here the fall of 13. And that's all people knew me as then was Kim's son who was coming to play baseball here.
Yeah.
I think eventually that changed a little bit, and then now that she's here, it's back to that for sure.
Well, I can't believe it's already been, I think, almost 4 years since it was a Sunday afternoon. We were all had the Kim watch. Is this going to happen or not? No, this isn't going to happen. I still tell the story about a group text where a buddy of mine said there is 0.005 chance she's coming. This is not happening. And I think I'd had a couple beers that afternoon, and I didn't think I was working that day. And then we started, it's going to break that she's going to become the head coach.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll never forget it. I was in St. Louis because it was right after COVID. So we were at the alternate site after spring training. So they had the big league team and the guys that were in the mix to be up and down with the big leagues. So I remember she called me and said that the LSU job was open, but she hadn't talked to anybody. And I was like, well, why are you telling me that? Are you interested? And wasn't much that night. And then I got a call the next day. And this is before anybody knew anything. And she went on Jordy Collada, I think it was, that morning, and got emotional. And it got people wondering. I think it definitely got people wondering because her answer wasn't, she didn't sound
It wasn't
real.
a hell no.
Yeah, it wasn't a hell no. It wasn't a no at all.
Right.
And so then I think people were like, oh, okay. And sure enough, soon after that, I think she and Scott had a conversation. And then after that conversation, she called me and said that they offered the job and that they offered enough money. And I was like, well, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? There's no reason why at this point you shouldn't take this job. And I don't know if my sister and her family who lives in Waco, Baylor alums, felt the same way. I'm not sure everybody felt the same way, but sure enough, a couple of days later, she accepted the job, and now we're here. But it was definitely the hardest secret I had to keep. I knew 4 or 5 days before anybody else, and my phone was blowing up, and it was not easy to tell people that I really care about that I didn't know when I did know.
Well, it's definitely one of those people bothering you for sure.
I remember you called me and I wanted to tell you. I genuinely wanted to tell you. I was so excited. I really wanted to tell everybody. I just couldn't.
Yeah, you were like her agent, but there was only one option: LSU.
Yeah, well, I would have packed the bags and I would have driven the truck for her. But what I told her and her staff and everybody at the time is that you've reached your ceiling at Baylor. Baylor's been great to us. Waco's been great to us. But Louisiana is home to you. South Louisiana is home to you. They have no national championships, and the ceiling in the SEC and at LSU with such a big brand is just so much higher. And I think she knew that, but until you're here and really see what LSU is and the atmosphere and the culture, the fan base, just how big of a deal it is and how much LSU means to so many people, it's hard to really understand until you're a part of it. And I think she, fully understood after a short amount of time being back here, just what this monster is.
Well, there's been a couple of disappointing losses lately, but as I put pen to paper here, Kim Mulkey's record at LSU is 118 wins against 18 losses. She is 100 games above 500 and 4 regular seasons complete. She's 53-11 in the SEC. Her NCAA tournament record at LSU is 10-2. I think before she got here, LSU hadn't won a game in the NCAA tournament. It was 7 or 8 years, something like that. They had gone to a couple of Sweet 16s in the earlier regime, the first couple years, and hadn't won an NCAA game since.
Is that good?
I think.
Is that good?
I think that's 118-18 I mean,
yeah, still not good enough for her. Right? You said how many losses total?
18 losses
So
total.
those are 18 of the most miserable days that you would ever want to be a part of.
It's like a Nick Saban thing, right? You can remember the games he lost because there's so few.
Yeah.
The kick six, this,
right.
you know.
So let me tell you, when Kim Mulkey loses a game, it is devastating because she hates to lose so much more than she likes to win. She can't function when she loses. Like she's that competitive, and that's why she's so great. She not just in basketball, I think just in her life in general, she does everything the right way, so structured, so morally sound, like just really, really impressive as I get older to see the way she goes about her business in every aspect of life, not just on the court. Like she holds herself to a standard, whether it was being a mother, a coach, whatever it may be in life, that she holds herself and the people around her to that same standard, which is challenging to be held to that standard. But that's why she is who she is, and that's why the people around her, herself, her kids, that's why you see success. That's why you see people doing things the right way, is because it's a direct reflection of her, and that's how she's lived her life, I'm sure, since she was a kid. And hopefully that's rubbed off on my sister and I and her, all of her players. But it's no secret, it's not an accident why that success is what it is. It's because that's truly how she lives her life every day, right, and everything.
How much does Kim Mulkey sleep after a loss? Does she have no problem going to bed? Or, Jay Johnson talks to me about how he's staring at the moon at 2 a.m. if they lose one. At this point, she's probably,
I don't to be honest, I think she might handle losses worse at this point in her career because the expectation is so much higher. There's never a time that it doesn't get any easier. 25 years in, like I see her after a loss, it's no easier. And it's still hard for me because I'm 25 years later. I still don't know exactly how to handle it, but I do the best I can. But does she lose sleep? I'm sure she does. It usually snowballs. So like right after the game, it seems like it's okay, and I'll see her. And then like as time goes on throughout the night, it starts to snowball. The more she thinks, and it starts to snowball. So I'm sure when she's laying in bed, she's up all night thinking about it. But again, that's why people like Nick Saban, Kim Mulkey, Bear Bryant, Skip Berkman, and so on down the list, that's why they're so great, is because they're so miserable and hate to lose so much. They're so competitive, and she's a Hall of Famer.
Well, and then she said it, look, one too fast.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the second year she was here, I was talking to Amani Bartlett the other day. I said when they went to the NCAA tournament, I said, Elite Eight, I think, is going to be, that'd be great to make it to Elite Eight. And they end up winning the whole thing. Right. Things fall into place, and they play the game of their lives against Iowa.
Yeah.
And you go 34-2 in your second year.
Right.
I told Amani this the other day. There was a LSU fan the year before Kim got here. Said, I'm here, and I count, there's 323 people here, and had been there in the Final 4 years when they went to 5 straight Final Fours in the early 2000s. Bob Starkey was on those staffs. So, look,
I completely agree with you. It's like I can't even comprehend what she's been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time here. Like I knew she was going to be successful. Like successful people are going to be successful. They'll figure out a way. But I agree with what you said. I think that she created this monster so quickly, and this fan base has grown so quickly that now the expectations are that of LSU baseball and LSU football now. And that's the great thing, but also the bad thing about LSU fan base is you're expected to compete for the national championship every year, and if you don't win the national championship, it's an absolute failure. You could go 33-1. So
you believe that? You think that?
I do. I think that if they won every game this year and then lost in the Elite Eight, I think people are unhappy. I do. Because that's what the expectation of LSU is. And now that she's created this monster, it's not fair. In no way is that fair for any sport or for any coach, but that's what the monster of LSU does. And because she created this monster so fast, people think, oh, well, winning's easy. We should do this every year because it happened in year 2. And let me tell you, winning a national championship is next to impossible. You have to be really good, you have to be really lucky, and you have to stay healthy. So yeah, the expectations are unfair, but you know that as an LSU athlete or as an LSU coach that those are going to be the expectations. But she created this monster unbelievably fast, and now it's rolling, and she used to say they haven't arrived. I think they've arrived now.
Well, and look, she won 3 national championships at Baylor.
Right.
But that occurred over the span of 20 years.
7 years in between all of them.
Yeah. So, and that's not a knock on her, obviously.
05, 12, and 19, yeah.
So when you hire a coach and they say, she's a 3-time national champion, and then you win a championship in your second year, you're thinking like, oh, we won 4 championships in 5 years or something.
Yeah,
and that's not what happened.
I agree. And I'll say this, too, because obviously with the landscape of college athletics, it's changing so much. And so she's having to adjust and do things that she's never had to do before, which is what great coaches and great players, anybody in any profession, adapt or die, and she's done a great job of that over 25 years. I think it's challenging now, and I've never even had this conversation. This is just my perspective, and a lot of coaches probably feel this way, but it's harder now to build a culture because you used to recruit a kid in high school, develop a relationship. They come to college, and you're probably not going to play much your freshman year, a little more, gradually, and you build a culture. And it's harder to build a culture now, I think. I think you have a culture because of the staff and because of who she is and the expectations. But it's different when somebody comes in as a child at 16, 17, 18 years old from high school and learns and develops in this program from the senior leaders that have been there and so on down, which is the college experience that I got and that a lot of people did, but it's different now. So keeping that same culture that she had at Baylor is totally different because now you're picking new players every year. It's almost like a professional game. Transfer portal, free agents. We're trying to get some high school kids in, but if they don't play year one, well, then they're going to want to go somewhere else where they can play. So it's, I think, difficult to have the same internal culture that you've already had. So the adjustment for every coach in every sport now is probably pretty challenging, but there are also advantages of it too, being at LSU and having the resources to get some of these top players, whereas at Baylor, I'm not sure that you could maintain this level of players coming in because you don't have the resources to do it. So it's a new challenge that she's facing.
Well, you didn't play all that long ago, but let's just say Kramer Robertson's a freshman in 2025 and a sophomore in 2026, and your first 2 years go the way they went back then. There's this thing called the transfer portal now. Would you have gone to like Sam Houston State or another school and left LSU? You stuck it out, obviously. You didn't really have that temptation, I don't guess, to leave. You'd have to sit out a year, right? I mean,
I would have to sit out a year. Yes. I don't know if I've ever admitted this publicly. Yes, I thought about it. But then I got to the point where I was like, no, absolutely. Like, I'm not, that's the easy way out. Like, I know that I can do this. I've proven it in the falls. Like, I know I can play at this level. So, no, I wouldn't have gone in the portal. Yeah. I like to think that the way I was raised and the things that I was taught about loyalty and sticking it out and waiting your turn, I think that those things would have, still been there and I would have stuck it out. But I think you don't see that anymore. I think when this era of college athlete, when something doesn't go their way or they're mad at the coach or they're pissed at whatever it may be, it's easy to, I'm just going to go somewhere else. They're going to pay me and whatever. I'll go play immediately. Like, I don't want to be here. Whereas there's something to be said for the person that can stick it out, grind it out, and learn and get better and understand I'm not ready yet and learn from people that are. And, your coaches always want nothing but the best for you because they want success for themselves and they want success for you because if you're successful, we're all successful. So I think there's something to be said for the kids that really, can still stick it out, and it's not necessarily about instant gratification because something that is hard-earned is a lot more rewarding than something that, is easier given to you.
It's a double-edged sword because the national championship team your mom coached, I think, had 7 transfers.
No doubt. Got to adapt.
When Angel Reese comes aboard, I'm hearing this girl is going to make all the difference. This is an all-American player we can build around. Jasmine Carson comes from West Virginia, right? Makes 7 3-pointers, is that right? In the
after not scoring the whole postseason, too.
right. The whole team couldn't make a 3-pointer
Yeah.
for the first 5 games or 4 games of the tournament. And then on the ultimate day, I compared it to LSU baseball in 2023. They were having their struggles to an extent, but in the third game of the national championship, everyone's hitting and the runs are just coming in. And Thatcher Hurd comes through on the mound, and the rest is history. But we're not complaining about LaDasia Williams, from Missouri, and all down Alexis Morris, who fans have said, hey, since she left, it's been a little different.
Yeah, no doubt.
Trying to get another Alexis Morris to quarterback this team.
Alexis Morris's and Angel Reese's don't grow on trees. No doubt about that. But no, absolutely not. You're not complaining about the transfer portal. Like you've gotten some historically good players here that you've built great relationships with that have made a huge impact on not just LSU women's basketball, but LSU, and brought great attention to this school and this state in general. So no, it's not all bad, but it's a new challenge, and it's different when you've been doing something since the 1980s a certain way. It's hard to adjust and do something completely different. Yeah. But I think she's doing a good job, and she's surrounding herself with people that are young and that are in the know, and can help her adapt. But it's not an easy challenge to navigate, because her coaching style is, I'm going to be in your face, I'm going to yell. It's not personal. That was her style as a mother. And in the moment, yes, there were times, like as a kid, I was so mad at her I didn't want to speak to her. But then, as you grow and you look back and mature, you realize she just wants the best for you. She cares, and that's her way of showing love, is intensity, yelling. But now it's a new challenge, because you get too mad at a kid. They're like, well, she hates me, and I just want to leave. I want to go somewhere else, and then go to this school, and then go to this school. The grass isn't always greener. And if a coach is staying on you, or somebody that cares about you is really on your ass that hard, that means they care about you. When they're not on you, that means they don't care and they've given up on you. So that's what she always told me. So I don't understand as athletes, when they take it so personal that they think the coach hates them or they want to go somewhere else, because to me it shows the coach loves you and the coach cares. The coach wants the best for you. And I think it's hard as a young 18, 19-year-old kid to understand that, but as you get to your junior, senior year, I think you have a better perspective on that. And then especially after you leave, when you're a grown adult and you look back on what Coach Mulkey or whatever, Coach Mainieri for me, or whoever your coach may have been, you have a greater appreciation for the things that they did for you and the time that they put into you.
Well, considering what you've shared with me in the past, I would have to ask you, who was harder on you, Coach Mainieri or Coach Mulkey, when you were a baseball player at LSU?
Baseball player at LSU, Coach Mainieri, not a question. Coach Mainieri called me in his office.
You want to tell that Purdue story, or not really?
Yeah, I'll tell the Purdue story.
Okay.
You know the Purdue story?
Yeah.
I didn't know
you told me that St. Patty's Day last year when
Two
Two Live
Purdue
Crew was on stage at that Uncle Earl's thing.
Okay.
Which is coming up again.
Yeah,
I'll tell Sean Kingston.
Yeah. My career's over, so I'll tell the Purdue story. This one's funny.
You're a freshman?
I'm a freshman. I earned the starting job. I had actually a great fall my freshman year. I came in just naive, cocky, confident. Like, I did not care if Alex Bregman was at shortstop or if Nola was on the mound, because in my 18-year-old mind, where I came from, I'm the best player too. So I was humbled when I got here with how much talent was here, but at the same time, I had this unwavering confidence even at 18 years old. And I came in my freshman fall, and I had the highest batting average on the team that fall. They didn't keep all the stats, and there weren't all the videos and stuff for fall ball like it was. Like, it was just, practice then. It wasn't as public, but I crushed it in the fall, but still didn't earn the starting second base position because I was a freshman, and coach had a plan. Like, he started me day 3. Like, that was always the plan. But long story short, I ended up earning the starting second base role about 3 weeks into the season. We were playing Purdue. I believe it was on a Friday night or a Saturday night. And I was leading off now, first time ever leading off. Wasn't nervous, was excited. Like, I earned this. Like, I'm ready to go. Cool. 4 hours later, I'm 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. I never struck out 3 times in a game. 4 strikeouts. made an error in the top of the ninth that almost cost us the game. Didn't. We won by 1. Now I'm humbled. Now I'm starting to question things because oh boy. And so I get a text we had a day game the next day, and I get a text from Coach Mainieri. Coach, if you see this, please don't be mad at me for telling this story.
Oh, Kramer.
Because I love Coach Mainieri. I love
him too.
I love that man with all of my heart, and nobody in my baseball career has done more for me. And I'm appreciative of how tough he was on me. But I get a text the next morning after that game, and I go into the office before batting practice, and he sits me down and he's like, you know, Kramer, and I think he was 32 years of coaching at that time. I still remember that. He goes, in 32 years of coaching, I have never in my career seen a performance like that. I can't even put you back on the field after that. I'll be embarrassed. So I'm going to sit you, and I don't know how long, because I can't put you out there. What if you do that again? And just, I mean, there
were some other words mixed in there.
Yeah, he undressed me. And I was surprised because I went in thinking, hey, these things happen. You're fine. Let's go out there and respond to it. No. He got after me, and he stayed after me that whole year and the next year. And I thought it was just because he hated me. I could do nothing right. Even when I was right, I was wrong. Like when I was right, he turned the other way, or I did something really right, turned the other way. But if I stepped the wrong way, or I tied my cleats the wrong way, I was getting yelled at. And I couldn't understand it for 2 years, and that's when the thought came, like naturally, like any 19 or 20-year-old kid, like maybe this isn't for me. Like maybe it wasn't ever I'm not good enough, but it was maybe this just isn't for me. And I stuck it out, and I'm glad I did. And once I was ready, he backed off. And I would not be the man, I would not be the person today if Coach Mainieri for 2 years was not as hard on me as my own mother was growing up, because I needed that. I didn't know I needed that at the time as a teenager, but he knew what I needed. My mother knew what I needed. And so by the time I was a grown man at 21, 22, I felt like an adult, mature. I was ready to go, and the rest was history. But no, it wasn't easy, and it wasn't always smooth between Coach Mainieri and I for 2 years. But I look at Coach Mainieri now like a father. Like he's one of the most important people in my life for sure.
Yeah. Well, and those are the stories that you hope don't go away in the modern time.
Yeah.
For exactly what you just talked about.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm out of here. You can't talk to me like that. Mm-hmm. And then when you get in the real world and you get a real job,
that's how the real world talks.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. The world just keeps getting harder. Like I've learned that once you get out of college, and the world just keeps getting harder for you no matter what you're doing. And you've got to be tough, and you've got to have drive and discipline. And those are the things that Coach Mainieri always preached. And regardless of whether it's baseball, whatever I'm doing moving forward, like his impact will forever be a part of me, because it just resonates with me. Like it's Kim, my parents, my sister, Coach Mainieri, like those people had the biggest impact on me for sure in everything I do.
Yeah,
no doubt.
We talked about laying awake in bed at night. I know that Coach Mainieri would have felt a lot different about LSU if you guys win it in 17.
Yeah.
And there's 2 national titles instead of 1.
Yeah.
Of course, he told his sons that, God, I wish we would have won in 17. Well, Dad, then you would have said, I wish we would have won in this year. And then you just get, greedy. I want 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
But there does seem to be a big difference between 1 and 2, with coaches.
Yeah, and there was something different about 17 too. And he's said that, privately when we've talked. I think 17 really hurt him. It hurt all of us, because we all felt like we really deserved that national championship. I've said it so many times, I've never been on a team that was that close, that was Coach Mainieri, he would say it himself, I don't even have to show up to practice. Like, this team runs itself. Like, I'm in this, like, you guys don't need me. And that was the type of leadership we had, the talent we had, how close-knit we were, not just as players, but with the staff as well. So I think losing in 17, really hurt him, and then he had some health issues after that, and with COVID, and then the transfer portal. I think it was just a snowball of things that he felt it was time to retire. And a couple years ago, his health came back, and his neck's feeling better, and he still has that itch and drive. So I support Coach wherever he is, whether he's coaching, not coaching, wherever he is. That man's done a lot for me, and I'll support him in everything that he's doing.
Yeah. I think they got off to a 9-0 start, and then they got swept by Clemson, and they play LSU in the regular season finale, the last series of the year in Columbia. So it'd be very interesting.
That
like,
would be interesting.
Somebody's got to win 2 of 3 for SEC seeding or whatever.
Well, I hope next year when they come here, I hope he gets the reception that he deserves, because what he did at LSU, it doesn't go unnoticed. But the fact that he got, I think it was 6, maybe 7. I know it was all 4 years that I was here, 5, 6, 7, whatever it may be, national seeds in a row. That's impossible. Like, his resume here and the amount of winning he did, it doesn't go unnoticed. But I hope he gets the reception he did, and he will, because people appreciate him here. But he did a lot for LSU baseball and got that program back to where Skip had it as a national championship contending, and now Jay is doing the same thing. Coach passed the torch to Jay. So Paul Mainieri did so much for LSU baseball that he deserves his flowers when he comes back here next year, and I hope he gets them.
I think it was from 2007 to 17, that decade. I think he went to the World Series 5 times. So, like, you're going to Omaha every other year. You had a national championship. You had a national runner-up. I mean, in today's modern baseball, you don't get much better than that.
He used to tell when he was recruiting us, and then when we were at school, that he never had a recruiting class that didn't go to Omaha.
Yeah.
Never had a recruiting class that didn't go to Omaha. How many people can say that?
Yeah. National seed every year for 7 straight years.
He's a Hall of Fame coach. He's the best on-field decision maker in game. Just go with your gut. Aggressive, but he's the best. He's the best I've been around, and I'll die on that hill. Nobody taught me more about baseball. Nobody taught me. I was an athlete when I got to school, and he turned me into a shortstop. He's the reason that I could play shortstop in AAA or the big leagues, play the infield at that level, was because of Paul Mainieri. And it was because he stood behind me every day, just in my pocket. And there's pictures of it, just in my pocket, demanding perfection, like a good throw to first base at the thighs was not good enough. Hit him in the chest, 4-seam spin in the chest, demanded perfection every day. And that's why I made it as far in my baseball career, is because of that man.
Yeah. Well, he knew how to push buttons too. There was a guy named Matt Clark that played before you, hit a bunch of home runs.
Yeah.
But the button was, you don't hit any home runs with people on base.
Yeah,
got a bunch of solo home runs.
I know that story too. Yeah.
Sean McMullen. Sean McMullen was a guy I think that played before you.
No, I had a locker right next to him my freshman year.
Okay.
Yeah, Sean was a senior my freshman year.
That's right. Okay. He told me one time, he goes, "That's a little man, but that little man will break you." Mainieri.
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
So
tough Italian.
There was the kind of, I don't call it Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but when he get out in front of the cameras, media, it's kind of like, smiley, and was always, I don't think I've dealt with the coach who's been better with the media than Mainieri.
Same with recruiting.
Same recruiting,
Same way in recruiting. I was like, this is the nicest guy ever.
Then you go to that practice field.
And he is. He is the nicest guy ever, and he's a great man. He's a great man, but that switch will flip.
That's the way it should be, too, though. I mean,
the competitive switch would flip, and he never held back on what he would say, what he would call me, and I'm thankful for it. Not everybody can take that, but he didn't treat it wasn't like that to everybody. He told me in 32 years of coaching, I was the hardest on you, but you needed it more than anybody else.
There you go.
I don't know why I needed it more at the time, but I guess he felt it. And maybe I didn't. Maybe it was because I was the cocky kid that came in like that, and he knew that I needed to be humbled. But he did a good job of humbling me.
Well, I mean, the Skip Bertman stories are similar.
Yeah.
I mean, this is LSU. This is not 7-8-year-old T-ball where we're going to have pizza together and Coke and
ironically
smile.
Enough, speaking of Skip, when I was at my lowest sophomore year, I just injured my elbow, lost my position at second base, injured my elbow all at the same time. I've never told this story either. It's quick, but Skip one day in the dugout made his way from the stands, wherever he was, came and found me, grabbed me, and pulled me in private to come talk to me, and had about a 20-minute conversation that just only he and I know about, and it really made a difference for me to stick with it, and I came back those last 2 years. But for Skip to do that for somebody that had never really done anything for LSU baseball, barely seen the field, I don't know if he saw something in me, whatever it was, but Skip Bertman went out of his way my sophomore year when I was at my lowest to come find me before a game and had a really meaningful conversation with me that had a big impact.
That's awesome.
Mm.
Look, kid, I know your mom's a great coach like me, see, but...
And I talked to Skip, but that was the first time that I got in Coach Skip Bertman, like that version of him.
Yeah.
And so I got a small glimpse into his greatness, which was really neat for me because I left that meeting with a totally different perspective, a totally different attitude.
Yeah. Well, Doug Thompson, I'll just try to tell it quickly, tells a story about when he was pitching. You know Doug Thompson, Mr. 1997 on the front of the Advocate guy. He didn't. There was a game he didn't pitch well. After the game, they gather up. Skip walks around and basically says, "We lost the game today because our pitcher stayed at the airport." Walks over, puts his finger on his nose, like while he's talking to this guy right here.
Yeah.
So the game ends, and Doug Thompson isn't sure he's ever going to see the field again. A couple nights later, it's bases loaded, bottom of the ninth. They send him down to warm up. He says, "There's no way I'm going in. The other guy's much better than me." And sure enough, he puts him in, calls him out to the pitcher's mound, and Bertman throws the ball in his glove and says, "Last chance," something. "Last chance, a-hole." And Doug gets the final strikeout, and they win. And he says, "Well, if I don't come through there, there's no telling where I am today."
Right.
You know, but it's those kind of stories.
Yeah, it is. They're Hall of Fame coaches for a reason, and imagine that today. I'm not sure in today's era that flies. I'm not sure even. I don't like to speak like I'm old, like in my era. Like I wasn't here that long ago, but like even the things that, you know, how we were challenged, how we were talked to. I'm not sure that flies in today's era, which I don't agree with. I personally think that it's soft when people aren't coachable. You can't be yelled at or you take it personal.
Or you go straight to Twitter or Facebook and say, "Can you believe what my coach told me today?" Or
I don't have. I just, if a coach, fine. You don't have, like. There's a difference in yelling and challenging someone and degrading someone, but to be so upset and to be so sensitive, again, I know I've harped on it, but to be upset over somebody that cares about you, that's just challenging you, and you're just listening to the tone of voice and not the message, then I'm sorry, that's on you. That's your own immaturity, and that's your own ego getting in the way.
Well, and Mainieri sometimes got accused of throwing players under the bus. And I'm like, if the guy is explaining what happened in the game, that's what happened in the game. You know, if we only got one hit, we didn't hit today. You know, if we made 3 errors, we didn't field well today. You know, I mean, that's what happened. You know?
Exactly. Coach Mainieri used the word frank all the time. All the time. Kramer, I'm just going to be frank with you. He was frank. Like he just told you what it was. Like if I never felt like, you know, if I made an error to lose the game, like, and he's like, "Yeah, Kramer made the error." Yeah, I did. I'll own it. I'm a man. I'll own it. I screwed up. I want the ball hit to me next time. I want it hit to me next time. But like, yeah, no, coach never threw anybody. I don't think he threw anybody under the bus. Maybe certain people felt that way because they don't like their name out there if they screwed up. But like, for better or for worse, like if I'm gonna be celebrated when I get a game-winning hit, and I'm gonna be the leader of this team, and my picture is gonna be in the paper when I make a great play. Yeah. Well, you have every right to talk about me when I screw up too. I have to own both. I can't just be here. You can't just be here for the good stuff. You got to own it. You got to own when you're bad too. Yeah. Just like senior year. That happened senior year too.
Well, and one thing that kind of drives me nuts sometimes is when a player is no longer at LSU and it's former LSU player wins Super Bowl. You know, no one says anything. Former LSU athlete arrested. Why do you have to mention it's a former LSU athlete? Well, it cuts both ways. You know, that's why that person's known, because he played at LSU. Everyone knows this person. So
no doubt. If you're an athlete, you have to be mature enough to, or a coach, whatever it may be. If you're in the public spotlight, you have to be. If you're going to be celebrated, you have to be able to handle being criticized, and not everybody, you know, handles that well. But the more you're criticized it, the more you see it, the more numb you become to it. But it's something that is important that you have to own as an athlete.
Well, I'm sure Mainieri told you that day one. Hey, if you get a DWI or you get in a bar fight or something, you're LSU baseball player Kramer Robertson.
You're as an athlete, the expectations are different than everybody else, and you have to be okay with that. Like the expectation honestly, since I was born, was different because of who my mother was. So I've always had different expectations on what I do. But you have to be able to accept both for what they are.
Yeah.
Because if you're just going to be somebody that wants to be around when things are going well, what kind of person are you? You have to be able to go through the ups and the downs.
Right. Because every LSU team, I feel like, is going to go through a crisis.
No doubt.
You know, I mean, even the national championship team in 2023, I think they lost 5 of 7 going into the tournament, and there was a lot of worry. Ooh, this team doesn't have it. Oh, the Sunday starter stinks, or whatever comes up. So when you play that many games, there's going to be that adversity along the way.
There's going to always be adversity. There's going to be things you don't expect to happen. There's always going to be outside noise. But what I've learned over years of watching my mom's teams, my own career, is the teams that win it, like I said, are lucky, they're healthy, and then when you get down to that last final home stretch, we're all on the same page. Nothing else matters. Nothing that happened this year matters. No individual is bigger than the team, and you get on that run and you get hot, and you're all together. Those are the teams that win it. But you have, like I said, you have to be lucky. But it's never going to be smooth. Right. Even my mom went 40-0 in 2012, and that was probably one of her most difficult coaching years, and she was 40-0. So it's what's going on internally. People outside usually have no idea whether it's good or bad. The public usually doesn't know the temperature of the locker room or of the coaches or anything like that. So the most important, regardless of what happens throughout a season, good, bad, ugly, when you get to that home stretch, you still got a chance if you can gel at the right time and you can all get in the right direction and be lucky.
Well, let's shift it back to Kim, and then I want to talk to you about you and what you're doing now. And you know, you had some things that you wanted to tell us about when you played in the minors and the majors. But so Flau'jae Johnson apparently is not going to play into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's anything major. I think they announced that, just resting her, wants her to make sure she's 100%, because at this point you're going to host at home. You're competitive. You want to win every game of the SEC tournament, but you got to look big picture. You just do. And her health is more important than the SEC tournament, and you got to try to get her back right. So as far as I know, she's probably going to be out to the NCAA tournament. And
Coach Mulkey made it clear yesterday, it's not like what Michaela had last year. Michaela had like a stress fracture. Like
I don't think
there's no structural damage or anything.
No. I don't think so.
It's just it's the shin.
Yeah, they were missing.
Yeah,
clearly missing her yesterday. She's a special player. She's a special person, and comes from just an unbelievable family. I have so much respect for her mom Kia and her stepdad Amin, and the way that they raise their 4 boys now. And Flau'jae, it's a special family. And regardless of what that girl does in her life, she does both in the WNBA and rapping, or chooses one, which. It doesn't seem like she's going to have to choose one.
Right.
She could go paint walls and she'd be the best at it. She's just that type of personality to where she's going to be the best and she's going to outwork everybody.
And your mom here coaching at LSU, too, it was 2 summers ago she had the heart surgery?
Yeah, stint or something. Yeah, that was middle of my season. I think that was 2 years ago. It was after the national championship, maybe.
You had that heart scare where she had 90% blockage.
Yeah.
And Scott Rabelais, I think, was the one who broke that story.
Yeah, but she's all good now, and I think she'd use that now to tell people, try to help other people. So maybe she saves some lives, and who knows? Maybe Kim Mulkey, the lifesaver, telling people to go get their hearts checked. So
no, I saw her speak a year ago at LeBair's Casino.
Yeah, I think
it was for women. Yeah,
I think it's pretty cool, and I'm laughing, but she really could have. Who knows? She might have saved some lives by that happening to her and her going public with it. And maybe somebody else, maybe it was just one person that went and got checked and they had blockage too. So that was pretty cool of her.
Do you notice that she dials it back any, or she's still letting it fly? Still pedal to the metal? Or?
It's still pedal to the metal. I think she only knows how to coach one way. I think there are times she gets exhausted. Like, she's 62 years old. Mm-hmm. No doubt there are times that she gets exhausted and whatever. But I don't see any lack of passion or intensity and lack of competitiveness. That's still all there. That'll be with her till the day she dies. That's just something you're born with.
Yeah.
And she's still the best. I just never seen somebody that can control a room and can control the temperature of a room and capture everybody's attention like she can. She's just a special human.
Yeah. Well, I think it gets for everybody, 8 o'clock tips on a Wednesday night or Thursday night or whatever. It's a long season. But then once March Madness rolls around, I think everyone just gets this shot of adrenaline that let's finish this thing.
Yeah, at the end of the year for every sports, everybody's kind of sick of each other. Players, coaches, you're around each other all year. But then once you get to that final postseason push, I think it's a breath of fresh air and a boost in morale.
What about her dress this year? She's dressing more like an attorney, I feel like, a lawyer. It's not as shiny and not as...
So I agree. I think some people get in her ear sometimes about, and maybe she's like, oh, I shouldn't be too loud, but I like the loud. You changed an entire culture of people. Look around the PMAC or anywhere in Baton Rouge, people were walking around with sparkles. I didn't see that when I was here, when I was in school. I didn't see that until the last few years. So I love the sparkles, and I want loud. I love that. I'll help her pick out her outfits. I've always been a fan of that. I always vote louder than the quiet attorney suit. So my opinion, I will make my opinion public about that. I am a big fan of the loud outfits. I think it's fun. I think people enjoy coming to see it. I think it gets women that have never had an interest in basketball come into the game. So I'm a huge fan of the sparkles and the loud outfits. I don't want her to dial it back personally, and I've told her that.
There you go. Well, I went to church yesterday, and I saw a couple of women coming in, and they were wearing bright, sparkly stuff. And I said, there's no doubt where they're going. They're going to the 3 o'clock tip-off at the PMAC.
Right.
You see men that are 60 and over wearing these jackets and stuff.
Yeah. So I actually don't think that she has any. Maybe she has an idea, but I don't know that she really has an understanding because she's not on social media. She's not on her phone like all of us, like most people are. I really don't think she realizes how big of a reach and how big of an impact she and her teams have had in this state, in this area, and how much this program means to people now. When I was here, I'd never heard about LSU women's basketball. It was LSU football, LSU baseball, and I couldn't believe how passionate they were about it. But now it's like that for LSU women's basketball, and it's truly for a lot of people, the thing that they look forward to the most. And so I don't think she even understands that. And I try to explain it to her, but there's just no way that without being on social media and being out like I am in the public, going to see people, that the impact that she's had here. I don't think she knows she had an impact, but I don't think she has any idea how big it is. Well,
she joked that the Queen of Sparkles should be cutting her a check soon because, like you said, it wasn't like that before.
No, it wasn't.
And it's not only, and I've been talking about this lately, it's not only a crowd of people coming to the game, it's an event. It's fat heads, it's signs, it's dress,
and it's growing, it's getting bigger, and it's not just women, and it's not just people who like women's basketball. There are grown men who have never cared about women's basketball that have season tickets now and that are looking forward to the game as much as anybody. They're texting me during games. It's like, when did you start caring about women's basketball? So I hope one day she does get an understanding of the impact she's had here and how much her being here and coaching LSU women's basketball in this program means to everybody, because we haven't had this here in a long time, and it's something special. And I hope one day she realizes.
Well, and she's not doing as many press conferences this year. I think she's become exhausted with some different things. Yeah. So this might be the part where she's watching, where she says, "Jacques, what are you talking about?" But last year, there's this Washington Post story that's coming out, and she kind of goes on the offensive, preemptive attack, saying, "I'm going to sue if." So that article comes out. I read about half of it. I think I was in Albany, New York, beautiful Albany, New York, when that thing came out.
Too. We were there. Yeah, we were there together.
What a no offense, Albany, New York, but man, it was gray, it was cold. It's like, why are we up here?
The hotel sucked. The hotel was bad. We got the worst hotel in the city.
Now I'm looking this year. I'm like, please don't send us to Spokane, Washington if LSU makes it out. Let's go to Birmingham and Tampa. Let's do that.
I actually love Birmingham, but yes.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
So I read like half of it. I said there was some interesting stuff in here. There was some stuff maybe I didn't know. I thought it was well written. I didn't finish it, but it was kind of ironic that article kind of I don't want to say sunk without a trace, but then there's this guy from the Los Angeles Times.
The next day, like a days later.
UCLA is milk and cookies and LSU is dirty debutantes. And that, I think, was the thing that really upset her.
Yeah, she's dealt with so many lies and then being in her position, anybody that's that well known will deal with things on national television that are not true. You could go back to 2012, 2013, then throughout when I was in college, there were things. But what was so nasty to me about the Washington Post is just how personal, like, if she doesn't have a relationship with somebody in her family, that's not for you to write about and for you to go interview somebody that she hasn't talked to in 30 or 40 years.
It's not unique. It happens to people across the country.
It does, yeah, and it does, and he has the right to. He can. It's not illegal, but it's just like, what are you trying to get at? Like, what are you trying to get out of this? And you didn't know what was going to be written in it, and you didn't know, like, the insight that we got beforehand was nasty, and so you wanted to be on the offensive for it. But she never read it, and I read the article, and it was a bunch of nothing. But just somebody there's always somebody that's gonna try to take you down. I've always said that you're never gonna have somebody that's hating on you, truly hating on you, that's doing better than you.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what I told somebody the other day. If you're 5 and 25, no one says I can't stand them.
So like anybody that really tries to attack her character or attack anything about her, one, probably hasn't had the success in life that she has. There's got to be some sort of animosity or jealousy or whatever it may be, whatever reason that you don't like her. But I never really speak on it because it's not my fight to fight. But all of these people, like if they met her, have no idea how morally sound she is. There's no skeletons in her closet. There's nothing for her to hide. The woman's never smoked. She's never drank a sip of alcohol. By no means is she perfect. She has her flaws, just like you do and just like I do. But I have never in my life, and I'm not saying this because she's my mom, I've never been around somebody that's more morally sound and does things the right way more than Kim Mulkey does. So it hurts when I see it, but I'm somewhat numb to it now. But it's never easy because I know the truth and I know her personal life and who she is as a human. And so some of those things that get written about her that are just so far from the truth, they hurt, and I know they have to hurt her, but that's why you lean on family in those times and you keep your family closer, and maybe that's why she gives less interviews, because just less to talk about. But yeah, of course, I want to defend my mom a lot of times, but I'm just not in the position now, especially after my baseball career and playing professionally, that I can just be somebody on social media that can do that, and she wouldn't want that anyways. But yeah, I can just say they're always wrong. They are always wrong in what they've said in those articles.
Well, any company that had 12 employees, there's a good chance that maybe one or two of them aren't going to work out, and are going to go another. And to say that every single player I coach, and I don't want to pull you in, but the Brittany Griner thing, for example, she was kind of damned if she did, damned if she didn't on that. If she would have said something, the Brittany Griner camp could have said, "Well, get my name out of your mouth. What are you doing talking about me?"
Correct. There is no way for her to handle that to please everybody, and so say nothing. Like, just don't go into the meeting. Of course, like in private, like I know her personal feelings, and of course you want everybody safe. Of course. But if I say something, it's going here, and it's going to be twisted a million different ways. If I've said my support, she said her support in a radio interview like this, still going to be taken and twisted. So I'm just not saying
Tiger Rag magazine. She right off the bat, hope she gets home, hope she's safe.
Of course she felt that way, but there's no way for her to address this publicly without her getting absolutely undressed by the media, one way or the other. Good one side, because there's people, half the side felt like this, half the side felt like this, and when in reality the only thing that matters is just safety. Like, that's the only thing that ever mattered. But there was no way for her to win that. And so, yeah, so I think that's why she just stays quiet in the media, because no matter what she says, it's going to get manipulated, and she's going to be criticized by so many people that already just don't like her before anything else. So
yeah,
I think it's smart. Just don't say anything.
Yeah.
Wise man once said nothing at all.
Well, and I kind of stayed on the sidelines. I wanted to jump in, but there was this one guy from South Carolina who calls her MAGA Mulkey.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
have
called
never...
MAGA Mulkey's son on social media. People tweeted me, MAGA Mulkey kid. Like, what?
Now, look, I've been to every press conference, I think. I don't know if she's ever spoke about Donald Trump ever.
Never.
Or anything political.
She is the least political, care about political of anybody you've ever seen. She does not care one way or the other what you vote, what he vote. That does not matter to her at all. And somehow, but I think the stereotype, maybe the accent being in the South, people started calling it, that guy from South Carolina started calling.
She ripped the mask off at her opening press conference, COVID and stuff.
I hated wearing masks. Okay. If you look back, she was probably right on that. She didn't need a mask on.
Looking back on the video, I'd much rather hearing her speak.
She didn't need a mask on.
Without a mask.
She got criticized for taking a mask off, but that's prime example. She can't take a mask off without getting criticized, and she knows that. Yeah, she's got tough skin, and she doesn't see a lot of it because she's not on social media. But
she's
MAGA Mulkey one is crazy because she is not political at all. She's gone to the White House. I mean, she's met a lot of different presidents. She took all of her teams. She went to Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden. Yeah, Biden when they were at LSU. It doesn't matter who's in office. It's about going to the White House because the White House is a historical, cherished place. Yeah. And how many opportunities are you going to get to meet the President of the United States, regardless of your political view? Regardless, it is an honor just to go to the White House. In my opinion, I'm not sure everybody feels this way, but in my opinion, it's just an honor to go there. So.
I agree 100%. And the 2019 LSU football team, there were some people that were saying, they should protest and not go.
It's not about who's the president. It's not about that. It's about getting to experience something that nobody else gets to experience in life. Why you don't say no to that? I wouldn't. Well,
Burrow stepped up, and Burrow looks like he could be the president of the United States himself. One day, and I think he said exactly what you said. Hey, this is not a political day. Yeah, it's we won the national championship. This is the White House, and
the pendulum swings. Sometimes it goes to crazy. We're getting away from sports, but it's true. It goes from crazy back to this side, and most people are normal. Now, I think most people are normal. You just hear the loud 1% on this side, and you hear the loud 1% on this side. But I think most people are more similar than we are different. Yeah. I think you just have a loud on either side that make a lot of problems.
Well, and I don't go too far down this road, but this is a great conversation. So, and then the MAGA Mulkey thing is then stretched into racial stuff, too. Mm-hmm. She doesn't – how many black players has she coached? And how many of them have said, this woman's like my mom. Mm-hmm. She took care of me. And I didn't mean to be speaking so much about Imani Bartlett, who hasn't played a ton of minutes. Right. But she told me the other day, I had a thing at home, a relative got in a car accident. She told me immediately, go home, go visit your family. I felt a certain kind of way. I wasn't playing a lot of minutes. She took me in. She was my mom. Mm-hmm. You've heard this from how many people?
We do, but they don't. The public doesn't want to hear that because there's a narrative that they want to believe and they want to keep, and so they choose to ignore the stories like that, or the stories of, the things she does for people. There was a story that came out in the paper random the other day that somebody wrote, it was a woman posted on Facebook that she was in the shopping in the parking lot looking for her car for 30 minutes and couldn't find it, and mom saw her. Got out of her car and went and helped her. There's no cameras there. There's nobody, but that's the person that Kim Mulkey truly is. But that's not the narrative of what those people want. And you know what? That's okay because the people here and the people that do know her know what her character is, know how she treats people. She treats the janitor the exact same as she treats Scott Woodward or Dr. Tate or anybody like that. So.
She's real has been the comment since she's gotten
You know exactly where you stand. She's going to tell you exactly how she feels, and that might offend you. You might not like it, but you know where you stand. But some of the nasty things that I've seen online that are just so far from the truth, it's not even a sadness. It's just like an anger of like you don't even know this person, and for you to say some of these things about them, and for me to know how much her players mean to her and how much she's done for so many women that she's coached, black, white, any race, doesn't matter. She's done so much for so many people, and I hope that continues to be recognized more than just the criticism that she gets from the national media.
Well, she moves the needle like no one I think I've ever seen here. You know, I covered Saban. I say cover him. He was just chewing me up and spitting me out for 4 years. But, you know, Saban, you know, we've had amazing athletes here from Tyrann Mathieu, Leonard Fournette, Joe Burrow. I mean, but anything I post about Coach Mulkey, I mean, the numbers always are huge.
No doubt.
No matter what. She's walking. What did she, like the national championship? One of the big breaking news stories every day was, what is she going to wear tonight? You know, then she'd walk in the arena. Oh, she's wearing this. You know, everyone gets their video. Get it out as quickly as possible. So she moves the needle.
No doubt.
But I imagine in your case, it's like playing whack-a-mole. I mean, there's no way you can fight it all.
Yeah, I behind the scenes definitely help with PR for sure. Like, and have for a while now, because I'm on social media, so I do have a gauge of what's going on, and you know, she doesn't like. She can say things that will be twisted, and that's not how she meant it. So we'll try to talk of, okay, how do we say something that's not going to be twisted? What's the right way to answer? So, there's just no way. Anywhere she goes, she has a presence and people are interested. She's Kim Mulkey.
Yeah. And look,
one of those people.
Clickbait is something that's come up over that phrase.
Oh, yeah.
Now, look, I like a last tier Poa, for example. Big part of your national championship team, guarded Caitlin Clark, made a couple of three-pointers in the game. If she goes missing, then it's a story. But all I need to hear is she violated the team rule or she's doing so. I don't need to know the details beyond that.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's a
right.
I don't know if that's a compromise, but typically that's what she says, right?
Yeah.
Violation of team rule. Angel, same thing.
Yeah. Well, she's always, so even if the player's getting suspended, the player's probably in the wrong, right? So if she's not giving you much, she's protecting you. And
right.
So I find that admirable that you'll take some bullets for your players, even if the player is the one that had a little screw up and needs to be suspended. And she's still up there taking bullets from the national media for something that she didn't do it. Like, she's just the coach disciplining, but she's the one that's taking the bullets for when players get suspended because she's protecting them. And I'm not sure that every coach would get the same criticism for saying the exact same things that she says. Actually, I know for a fact there's not this. People are not held to the same standard as Kim is in the press conferences or in the media.
Well, we've talked about it before. You know, Nick Saban. You know, he's, you know, he rules with an iron fist. He's, you know, fiery. He's this and that. And then when a female does it, a woman does it, it's viewed maybe differently. You know,
Yeah.
I know she's dealt with that too.
Yeah, she's dealt with that, but she's tough, and nobody's gotten her yet. It's been 25 years and nobody's been able to stop her yet. So
is she going to yell at me for this portion of the interview, you think? She thinks
no,
she can be okay with all this?
No, I think it's good because it's something that never gets spoken about. Nobody ever speaks about it, and she doesn't have anybody to defend her ever. And I'm not going to do it on social media, but I think it's fair for people to know that the things that are said about her are just so far from the truth, and she really is one of the few people. They say don't meet your heroes. Yeah. She's one of the few people that if she's your hero, you want to meet her.
Well, after every home game and after every, I think, road game sometimes too, whoever stays in that arena, she's going to go out there and autograph
every single one, take pictures with every single person. She taught me that because that was important to me as well when I played here, from watching and observing her growing up. But she used to tell me that maybe it's your 1,000th autograph you signed this week or this month. Maybe you're really tired of it, but it's that kid's first time meeting you. It's that kid's first experience, and how are you going to make them remember it? Are you going to be too big league and not have the time for them? Or are you going to you were that kid one day that looked up to an athlete. So, give them the time, even if you're not in the mood, even if you're having a bad day, even if life's really hard or you suck that night in the game. Compartmentalize it and give that kid or give that person some time, because that could be their one and only opportunity to have an interaction with you.
Yeah. And the one time that you blow somebody off, that person goes tells 100 people.
And goes and tells 100 people, yeah.
Kim Mulkey was mean to me. One time I autographed her to take a picture.
She stops for everybody and gives everybody time, treats everybody the same, and I really admire that.
And the parade, the national championship parade, she had tears in her eyes, and she made a conscious effort. I mean, watching to try to make eye contact. These are her
people. This is why she came home, is for those people in Louisiana, and to be a positive. And so I'm sure it was emotional when she saw that parade and how big of a deal it was. I'm sure she had crazy emotions, because this is where she grew up, and these are her people. This is family.
A few more things with you. I think we're probably pushing an hour here. Chuck behind the glass, and it's been a great conversation. Your dad, your last name is Robertson, not Mulkey.
Yeah.
So, Kim obviously dominates when it comes to talking about your parents. But tell me about your father. And it gets confusing because he was a quarterback at Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, he was.
But he has nothing to do with the quarterback who was Duck Dynasty and those Robertsons.
No relation.
All that.
No relation, even though they're North Louisiana, and I was born in Ruston, and that's where they were married. My dad, Randy, yeah. So he played quarterback in Louisiana Tech in the late 70s, and then he is a big reason why I am physically able to do things with the baseball or with the football, because he always had time. We didn't have the iPhone, the tablets, we weren't really watching TV as kids. We were out every day, and that's because of the time that my dad gave me. I mean, every day, throwing the football, shooting the basketball, throwing me the wiffle ball in the backyard. I'm talking from 2, 3, 4 on up. So he taught me how to throw a football. He taught me how to throw a baseball. And boy, am I glad he did, because he taught me the right way. And he's the reason that I have a good arm and have a lot of the skill sets that I do have. I can remember being in the backyard just begging him to throw me diving plays and diving catches, and I still think to this day that's why I had such a niche for diving plays or spectacular plays, is because he or mom would always be in the yard throwing those, and that's what we would practice the most. So besides that, he's still in Waco, marketing and advertising, and it's always been a big part of my life. Talk to him every day, and would drive in for every weekend series at LSU, and is still a big part of my life. And now he's my golfing buddy, and I beat him for the first time a couple years ago. So, and he's good. He's about 70 years old now and is still in great shape. So I appreciate his genetics too.
Great stuff. Well, I wanted to make sure I gave him his.
Yeah. Thank you for asking about him.
And your sister Mackenzie, she's got two children.
2 kids now. Cannon's 6, Sage is 3. They're just the best things in the world. Just a ball of energy and ball of light. And
Cannon very humorously hijacked one press conference this year, I think. It was a game at Bossier when they played Grambling.
Oh, did he? I must have missed that one.
So he came and sat on Kim's lap, and he had his hand up the whole time, as she's answering questions, and she tried to put it down a couple of times, and he put it right back up. But then he never asked a question.
He's so smart. He's such a smart kid. And then Sage is 3. She's doing great, and Mackenzie and Clay are married in Waco, and they're all doing really well.
Awesome. Well, and Mackenzie played for your mom too.
She did.
I mean,
Mackenzie was Mackenzie's the most successful athlete between the two of us, by not even close. Mackenzie won a state championship. We went to public school in Texas, a big public school, the highest classification. She won 3 state championships in 3 different sports, and then was a national champion in college basketball. So all she's ever done is win, on top of 2 Little League World Series championships. So she's won her whole life, and I don't think that she's been talked enough about over the years with her success, because she's been more successful than I have in sports, and she was a great player, and she was a great softball player as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure that was a conversation, right? Do you really want to go play for mom? How's this going to go?
Yeah, Mackenzie and I are very, very different personality. First child to second child is usually very different. So it worked out really well that her personality was not like mine, because I don't know that Mom and I would have been good coach son, or if I was a girl, but I don't know if it would have worked out as well. But Mackenzie's personality was perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good stuff. So now your title now is Athletics Performance Analyst.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you doing at LSU right now?
So I just started, I think officially my first day in the office was January 2nd. I'm doing internal affairs with Kelly Zinn, and then external affairs with Verge, who just right there to begin with. I mean, Kelly is, I grew up with a badass woman. Kelly is a badass. Like, I have so much, in a month of working with her, like watching her capture a room, like she's the boss. She walks in, and I feel really lucky to learn from her and see how she goes about her business and how much respect she garners as soon as she walks into the room. Like, she's a boss, and I'm really looking forward to continue to do projects for her. So the internal stuff, like if she needs numbers done for whatever it may be, there's NCAA versus the House is coming up, and the 20 million. So I'm doing a lot of different things, whether it's going to help with the NIL or when this court case finishes up, I'll be doing a lot for that as well. But I can't say exactly everything internally that we're doing, but I'm crunching a lot of numbers for her, and I've been on 4 or 5 projects already. And so the adjustment for me when I got there was actually using a computer again, as crazy as that sounds, because it's been so long. So getting comfortable back using Excel and doing things like that. So most of my stuff internally on the computer is projects that Kelly will send me. And then I also will do external stuff. Haven't done as much with Verge yet, but we'll eventually do external affairs with Verge, who everybody knows Verge, man. He's just so impressive with the amount of different hats that he wears. And I went with him one time. He went from giving a speech to 150 people and to the Capitol to here, and was just the way he was able to navigate, and it was so genuine. Like, when I say wear a lot of different hats, I'm not in a fake way, but he's really impressive to be around. So I feel really lucky and blessed to learn from those two, and we'll continue to move forward, and hopefully I'll have a bigger role. And then I also help out with the L Club, so I help Emily Dixon and Ellie, Aubrey, and Ansley. We do some events for, whether we did a meet and greet for baseball the other day or reunions and stuff. So I love working with them. They're so good at what they do. So I wanted to give them a shout out for the L Club, because they work really, really hard, and it's behind the scenes, but they have done such a great job with everything I've seen for these reunions. So I think they deserve a shout out as well.
Awesome. All great people. I've interviewed Kelly Zinn one-on-one. Very impressive.
Very impressive.
Verge, very impressive. Interview him all the time. Always gives good insight.
No doubt.
Emily Dixon as well. Great person. So
yep. Very, very, very blessed to work with all 3 of them. I've been so impressed by Kelly and Verge. Just LSU is in, if anybody was wondering, LSU is in great hands with them, because it is so impressive seeing them and what they do, and how respected they are, and how sharp they are every day.
I have to hustle to a press conference in a little bit. There were some things you wanted to, I didn't mean to cut you off early before. We'll visit with you about the minor league stuff and everything in the future.
Yeah, you're good. We went a little.
We did go long. We did go long.
But it was necessary.
Absolutely. No. I mean,
we can talk baseball another time.
Okay. All right. We'll talk. When we get into the season here, although LSU right now is number 2 in the polls, and they're off to a great start. Derek Curiel, this freshman's batting .432. Jared Jones, veteran back. Daniel Dickinson from Utah Valley is taking.
I love his swing. I love his Dickinson swing.
Yeah.
I love his path. I love it. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
It's super impressive.
Well, maybe I should get that from you real quick. What'd you make of the play he made, the flip?
Unbelievably jealous. Cole Freeman and I mean, every day in practice wanted to make that play. He flipped it backhand to me. I catch, spin, and throw. I mean, that is a middle infielder's dream. I have dreamed about that play and never got the opportunity. And I saw the highlight of that the other day, And I was so jealous. Great play, unbelievable play, very difficult. But that is a shortstop and a second baseman's dream play, and I can't believe that actually happened to them because I'm so jealous. I wanted that my whole career and never got one. My whole career I wanted one.
Well, damn, these newcomers, huh?
That's what I'm saying. First week at LSU and you get that play, man.
Right. Well, look, they got 12. They played 12 games. We'll visit again when they get deeper in the season to talk about them. Kramer Robertson. Great seeing you, my man.
Thanks for having me.
Great conversation.
Absolutely.
Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you later on Jacques Talk. Have a great day.